Hello and welcome back to Traffic Talks. This week's subject is very familiar. It's the buzzword of the moment, and it's been coming a few weeks already, and that word is Black Friday. I thought I'd tackle this topic this week. I'm honestly not sure how long this episode will be. It's either going to be very short or very long, so just bear with me on it. But I thought with Christmas coming up and Black Friday, these are very heavily finance related holidays, and it's always like that broke-uary for the month of January kind of a thing, aside from all the other veganuaries and stuff that's associated with it. And it actually kind of already started in October with Halloween, because a lot of people put money into these kinds of holidays, and that can be bad, especially when unprepared or budgeted for. I just told my sister the other day, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's exactly how I plan on tackling this one for this episode. Finances and planning for holidays is essentially the main topic of today. So let's just get into it. October already drained people with Halloween because people who had parties need to cater to parties. So you need to think about the food, the drinks, the costumes, the decorations, and all the extra money you're spending on the cleanup involved after the fact. So October, you already lost a lot of money. Going into November with Black Friday, a lot of people overspend because it's like, oh, I can get this for much cheaper, instead of just actually like looking, is it cheaper to buy it or not? So when it comes to me, I plan to spend money on Black Friday from the previous year's Black Friday. I already told you my year calendar almost works differently. Same for my financial year. I start saving for things the year prior, and I know what I'm going to buy when it comes. So for example, with Black Friday, I spend quite a bit of money, but I do buy all sorts of things then and there. For example, I buy all my Christmas presents and sometimes additional presents that I can give for birthdays later in the year, especially if it's things that don't expire. For example, my sister, she likes a lot of things from Typo, and she does love a lot of artistry things. So for her, I will buy maybe a extra notebook that she can write in, or maybe even a giant A3 artistry book that's made for drawing. And then I'll also maybe buy some like colored pens or acrylics or something she can actually use at that point in time. So I give the time sensitive gift, in this case the acrylics or the markers that can dry out. I'd give that at Christmas and save the book later in the year for her birthday. With my mom, I don't worry because I always just ask her what she wants. I've had so many gifts that were never used or returned because she didn't use them or like them, to the point that I'm just like, tell me what you want and I'll get it. So I sorted out my mom for this year, which is fine. And then for my brother and my father, I will also like look out throughout the year for gifts. And then when Black Friday comes, I'm like, I remembered you said you need this or you want this, and then I go get it. So I use Black Friday to my advantage because I save up the money from the previous year and I have a list ready so that I don't go overboard. One thing I also do is buy the annual advent calendar for the Body Shop. I missed it out last year because they literally did not have stock. They sold out that quickly. This year I've already asked, and I'm going to get a discount because I'm buying it Black Friday weekend. I've already asked them. There's a heck of a discount on it, so I'm going for it. But the thing is, I've already planned to buy it, and if I can get it cheaper on Black Friday, I'm going to go for it. I've already saved up the money for it, so I've planned and prepped for it already. I have my list ready. I have my amount that I want to cut off at. And I've already saved that amount by the end of last month. So I've planned for it. A lot of people don't plan for it. So one thing that I can say is planning, prepping, and thinking about it logically. Aside from just having gifts that you want to give or a different reason that you want to go shopping on Black Friday, you need to understand your relationship to money. And in this case, you need to look inwards and maybe even backwards, because a lot of times the way that we see money is because of things that happened to us in our past. And it literally took me up until about 3 weeks ago to realize something. So for all of you who don't know, I am a big fan of gaming. I grew up on PlayStation. I grew up on The Sims. Like, I still love it to this day. My brother has a PS4 that we use. We have a shared laptop at home that we use for gaming as well. And we have The Sims 4, The Sims Medieval. Like, it's not even funny. But we love gaming. And when the Nintendo Switch came out, I craved it. Like, that's the only way I can think to describe it. I craved this machine. And for the last 2-3 years, I've just been like, you can buy it for my birthday. You can club and buy it for Christmas. Like, you can get it for me as a gift. And about 3 weeks ago, I was just standing in the kitchen thinking about it. And I was like, why do I even want this thing? It's nothing more than a status symbol because I don't have time to play PlayStation. I don't have time to play PC games. Like, where am I going to find the time to play this entirely different console? So I just thought to myself, like, do I want it because I have a need for it? Do I want it because I have a want for it? Or do I want to buy it just because I can afford to buy it? And that is what the decision boils down to. You need to ask yourself, is this thing going to be beneficial to my life? Or is it something that I just want? And if I want it, is it something I'm actually going to use? Or do I just want it to be a status symbol or something that I can just be like, I can afford this. I have enough money to buy this thing that's so expensive that other people see as like some sort of holy grail of finances. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't recognize, because working with money is a muscle that you need to work. So for a lot of people, they're constantly working this muscle because they have to hustle to get enough money to just survive. Other people who maybe get a little bit more, have a little bit more spending money, and then have no self-control when it comes to that spending. So it's a muscle that you need to work, which is why I think a budget is a good idea, but having some sort of flexibility and finding a budget style that works for you. For me, I've had to reorganize my entire finances because of lockdown, as I think a lot of people have. And to me, that has been extremely beneficial, because I used to, say this amount of money is for that amount of money is for that, and this is my spending money after I've done all my obligations, after I've put some money in savings. Like, this is my cushion of spending money for the month. And now that we couldn't go out, we couldn't leave, we couldn't spend that money, it's like, well, I'll just spend half for savings and then keep the other half for when I go out and buy groceries and I can put something extra in for me or something. Yes, the lockdown has changed my financial habits, but it's also made me more aware of how much I have been saving and how much I have left to spend, and that I need to be conscious of that. Because it's very easy to go, oh, I have this extra cash, might as well just blow it. And that is not a good mindset to have when it comes to it. So I think people really need to, in general, reconsider their relationship to finances. And this might sometimes mean taking a long, hard look at the bank statements or the things you physically have around you, what you've bought and what you actually use or not. Because some things can be an investment. For example, this very microphone that I'm using, I put money into it, but it's worth it for me because I have a much easier time editing my recordings. I'm getting a better audio quality. I spend less time editing, therefore I can spend more time working on other things. Like last week's background music, I was able to edit it better, insert things better, change it up here and there. And that has been so awesome for me. Whereas if comparing it to the Nintendo Switch, it would take away time from me doing my podcasts. It would cost more because you have to buy the games, and the games are like $1,000 each. Sometimes they may be like 700, 800, sometimes 600 if you're lucky, but for the most part they cost a pretty penny. So looking whether you are going to be buying something as an investment or not, and how you're actually going to get use out of it, is something that definitely needs to be considered, especially with this Black Friday where you are bombarded with ads and things like that. Take a long, hard look and really question, do you need this or do you want this? And how much benefit is this actually going to bring to your life? Is it going to make things easier? And how have you been coping without it before? Because you don't have it right now, or maybe you have a crappier version of it, and upgrading could be a good thing. So there's a lot of factors to keep in mind, especially because everything seems like a good idea now that it's on sale. This brings me to the quality versus quantity argument. Like I say, you might have a crappy version of something, and with Black Friday coming up, now could be the opportunity to upgrade. That is absolutely fine, and it's actually maybe a good thing. But upgrading means to literally buy something better. You need to examine this thing like it's the most important decision of your life. Not to say you need to over extenuate the gravity of the situation, but this actually needs to be an upgrade. You need to make sure you are buying the best thing for yourself as well as for your financial situation. So for example, making sure that you are upgrading and you are buying something for the better. You don't want to have to buy something cheap and have to replace it so soon after just buying it, which is why I say quality over quantity. I've always been that way, and my sister's like, you are so bougie. I'm just like, no, I want quality because I want this thing to last. I would rather spend more money on something that's quality than buy something cheap and have to constantly be buying more cheap things, because that's just what it is. And also being environmentally friendly. If you can't recycle it or upcycle it, like, what are you doing? Like, I'm not the best at that, but I can say I try. I try really hard. Look at the quality versus the quantity and take into account what's better for you. I've said this a lot. I'm not a minimalist, but I do enjoy a lot of the attributes of minimalism. I think the concept is great, and you can apply it to certain factors of your life, or rather certain aspects. For example, when it comes to technology, I'm a maximalist. I love technology. I like exploring technology, and I enjoy it a lot. But a lot of the times, like especially with my wardrobe, I've been trying to minimize that. Books, maximalist. I have like 2 bookshelves and constantly buy more books. So that is just me. Finding your things and finding things that suit your lifestyle is going to be best for you. I'm definitely someone who likes to upcycle things and definitely buy a lot of secondhand. I got my nightstand secondhand for $50 at a flea market. I gave it a coat of paint. It looks better than brand new. I did the same thing with my bookshelf. I buy a lot of furniture secondhand as well. We do that for our house. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong. There are certain things I buy brand new, but I've never had an issue with buying secondhand and upcycling, recycling, reusing, and finding more environmentally friendly alternative. So definitely try and keep that in the back of your mind, especially with someone like me who's buying products that are, more female consumables, like body lotions and a lot of Body Shop products. A lot of their things are beauty without cruelty, minimal chemicals and things, vegan friendly, animal friendly, all of those kinds of things. And to be conscious of that is something that's also quite important, because a lot of stores advertise that they do that, but they don't actually. And even stores like Mr. Price Home, who's recently done a drive for pillows that's going to get donated to animal shelters and such, because it's not really something, pillows aren't really something you can recycle in that regard, but they found a way to have it as an alternative and use it for a good cause. They've also gone plastic free on a lot of their products, so you won't find actually those plastic coverings on your duvets and things from their stores, and that's just the way that they are making things more environmentally friendly. Woolworths in our local area no longer even sells plastic bags at the shop, so if you don't take a bag, you're gonna fork out a whole lot of money for one of those reusable ones, and that's just what it is. I think wrapping up this episode, I'm gonna cut it off here because I feel like I'm just rambling. To sum up this episode, take a long hard look at your finances, look at yourself and your spending habits and how it's shaped you to become the person you are, and maybe even reevaluate it. Make sure you aren't overspending for Black Friday. Go with a list, have a budget cut off, and have a selected amount of money and things you want to buy. Buy things that you have planned to buy, because I know you're going to get suckered in by like, oh, buy this, buy that. Stick to your guns, practice your strength to go in there and just buy what you need, because they're going to try and push sales. And think of, are you going to use this or not when buying these items? Because honestly, it's sad that you buy things and then never use them. I literally just reorganized my closet and I found a dress with a tag on, and I was like, well, this is now my Christmas dress. So we're reusing it. We're finding a way to make it useful. So don't buy things you aren't going to need or use. You can go follow me on Instagram. I will leave links in the detailed box below. I actually just uploaded a picture not too long ago, if I'm not mistaken, of a cup of coffee. I went out with my mom this past weekend and we had mug and bean. It was just me and my mom. It was really, really nice. So the song of the week is 2 songs of the week, actually. One is Pour It Up by Rihanna, which is literally just about money flying everywhere. And the other one is Just Got Paid by Sigala. So both incredible artists that I love. Rihanna, I'm still waiting for that album. I told you this last week. And those are just songs I think that encompass this entire episode, because sometimes you just want to throw your money up and sometimes you just get paid and you're like, yes, I got money, honey. Like, yes. So that's it. I apologize for my voice sounding a bit funny. I just had some tea before I recorded. My bad. I will not make the mistake again. And also I apologize for any background noise. My neighbor was very annoying while I was trying to record this. So it's been a minute. Yeah, I don't think this episode is going to be too long. So thank you for that. Peace and I'm out. Have a good week. Love you. Bye.